नमस्कार। हम हैं आदित्य और सौम्या।
और आपका स्वागत है घटना चक्र के इस नए और ज्ञानवर्धक सफर में।
Have you ever, just watched leaves moving in the wind? It looks so calm, almost like they're, well, breathing.
hmm
But behind that, there's this whole complex, tiny world at work, right? On the leaf surface. We don't often think about how plants handle gases or manage their water.
No, it's happening constantly, though.
Exactly. So today, we're going to dive into these amazing little structures called stomata. They're not just pores, they're like tiny powerhouses controlling how plants deal with the world around them.
That's right. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack the science, how leaves manage this gas exchange so precisely.
Okay.
And we'll get into some really surprising new research, too. It's
Yeah.
all about understanding why these microscopic things are so critical, not just for the plant itself, but for, well, bigger things like climate and water.
Right. The bigger picture.
Yeah, and we got some great sources, including some very recent studies that are really shaking things up in plant science.
Yeah. So that idea of breathing leads us straight here. How do plants control all that? The intake, the release.
And the answer really comes down to stomata. They are absolutely key. These tiny pores are the leaf's gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers, I like that. Where exactly are they?
Well, they're microscopic, so you can't see them without help, obviously.
Mhm.
Mostly on the underside of leaves. And each scoma, is surrounded by these two specialized cells. They're called guard cells.
Guard cells. Okay, so they're the ones doing the work.
They're the dynamic part, yes. These guard cells actually open and close the pore, the stoma itself.
How? What makes them open and close? Is it like a little muscle?
Not quite muscle, but it is about structure and pressure. They're made of cellulose, thick walls, and these things called microfibrils, arranged in a really specific way.
Okay.
So when water flows into the guard cells, they swell up, but because of that structure, they kind of bow outwards. And that pulls a pore open between them.
Ah, I see. It's mechanical, based on water pressure.
Exactly, turgor pressure. And this lets them do several really crucial things. First, there's gas exchange. They let the CO2 in for photosynthesis.
The plant's food-making process.
Right. And they let the oxygen, the O2, out. Second, transpiration. That's water vapor escaping. It cools the plant, helps pull water up from the roots.
Like sweating, kinda?
Sort of, yeah, a good analogy.
Right.
And third, they're vital for the plant's overall water balance, keeping that internal equilibrium just right.
It sounds like a constant juggling act. What tells them when to open or close?
Oh, lots of things. They're incredibly responsive. Light is a big one, usually open in light, closed in dark. But also, how much water is available in the soil.
Makes sense.
The concentration of CO2 in the air, even internal signals like plant hormones. There's one called dipsesic acid, or ABA, that often signals stress like drought and tells them to close up.
Wow. Okay, so complex for something so tiny. Now, just to be super clear, because leaves have lots of important parts, how are stomata different from, say, chloroplasts? Chloroplasts are about photosynthesis too, right?
They are absolutely essential for photosynthesis, but they're different. Chloroplasts are the tiny organelles inside the leaf cells, mostly in the mesophyll tissue, especially that palisade layer near the top.
Right.
That's where photosynthesis happens. They use the CO2 that the stomata let in. So they're involved in gas use,
Yeah.
but they don't actually control the gates. That's the stomata's job, regulating the flow.
Okay, clear distinction. Chloroplasts are the factories, stomata are the loading docks.
That's a decent way to put it, yeah.
And what about xylem? We hear about that for water transport. Does that connect to gas exchange?
Xylem's vital, but again, different role. Think of xylem as the plant's plumbing system. It's made of tubes, basically tracheids and vessel elements that transport water and minerals up from the roots.
Okay.
So it delivers the water to the leaves, the water that might then evaporate through the stomata during transpiration, but the xylem itself isn't involved in the gas exchange part at the surface. No direct role there.
Got it. Plumbing versus ventilation, maybe?
Something like that. And just quickly, sometimes you see terms like phylum mentioned around plant structures. That's totally different. It's a big classification level in biology, like how animals are grouped, nothing to do with leaf function itself, just a taxonomic rank.
Right, like classifying animals. Okay, good clarification. So let's move on to some of the newer stuff. You mentioned groundbreaking research.
Yes, this is really fascinating. There's an interdisciplinary team at Yale School of Environment. Biologists, physicists, engineers, all working together.
Oh, interesting mix.
It is. And they figured out a new way to actually measure the pressure changes inside those tiny guard cells. in real time.
Wow. Oh,
It's complex, but they can essentially track the trigger pressure as it changes when, say, the temperature drops or the sun goes down. They publish this in PNAS. It's a big deal because we can now see the mechanics of opening and closing much more directly.
so it's like getting a direct readout from the gatekeepers themselves. What does that mean for us, practically speaking? Especially with, water issues and climate concerns being so prominent.
Well, that's the crucial link. Understanding these mechanics better opens up huge possibilities for improving how efficiently plants use water. That's a massive deal globally.
For agriculture, for instance.
Exactly. Think about developing crops that are more drought tolerant. There are already tools like a stomatal conductance sensor. It helps analyze how well a plant is managing its water, its drought resistance.
Like a little fitness tracker for the plant's breathing and hydration.
Yeah, pretty much. Gives
Yeah.
real-time data. And even looking at the number of the stomatal density index on fossil leaves or current plants, that can tell us things about past climates and how plants are responding to climate change now.
So these tiny pores are like little climate recorders, too.
In a way, yes. They connect the microscopic plant level to these huge global patterns.
That's incredible. And this precision, this responsiveness, it must allow for some amazing adaptations in different plants.
Absolutely. Nature is ingenious.
Yeah.
You mentioned stomata usually open during the day, right? For CO2 intake when there's light for photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Well, some plants, especially those adapted to really dry environments,
Yeah.
they're called xerophytes, think cacti or pineapples.
Yeah.
They do the opposite. They open their stomata at night.
At night. But why? No photosynthesis then.
Exactly. It's a water-saving strategy. They take in CO2 during the cooler, more humid night when they'll lose less water through transpiration. Then they sort of store it chemically and use it during the day when the sun's out, keeping their stomata shut tight against the heat.
That is seriously clever. Wow. Talk about adaptation.
It really highlights their central role, doesn't it? These tiny, tiny structures govern so much how plants breathe, how they manage water. They're absolutely fundamental to survival.
Yeah.
And understanding them better, as this new research allows, is just so important for tackling, really big challenges we face: climate change, food security, water scarcity. It all connects back. It's elegant engineering, really.
It truly is. It makes you wonder, given how incredibly precise and adaptable these stomata are, what other hidden biological systems might be out there, quietly running things, influencing our world in ways we haven't even discovered yet? And what more can these tiny gates teach us about being resilient, about adapting, especially now in such a rapidly changing environment? Something to think about.